I'm a very non-complicated, complicated individual. I think I am honest to a fault with myself.
Patiently piecing pieces of printed with precision while pursuing perfection. I know I'll never reach. I've never been a teacher's pet, yet somehow I've become mine. I'm really just an introvert who seriously seeks solitude while staring at the sun. I see light with my eyes closed on the first of my father's four he gave life to, the life who he threatened to take away. If I was ever to raise a hand against him where, hey dad, here's two, I am not afraid of you. I am. Refurbish jigsaw puzzle. Roam while standing still and breathe without inhaling. I speak best when silent. I find peace and violence. I am scared of everything but fear absolutely nothing. Black boy been enough. Black boys do everything to everybody but themselves.
I am a husband, I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a really good friend. I'm somebody who has recently learned to set boundaries, and I am somebody who is in the process of releasing a lot of people with love, which is not always an easy thing to do. My introduction to poetry, I would say one was Nas, but I didn't realize it when I was listening to his music in 95. But my real introduction to poetry is my cousin. We're about a year and a half, 2 years apart. So growing up, everything he did, I used to try to do. And one day he came to the local library for Black History Month, and he did this thing called a poem. And I had not been familiar with poetry prior to that. So he came and did a poem, and I thought it was dope what he was talking about. And so, like everything else he did in life, I went home and I wrote a poem. I started becoming more comfortable with trying to make sense of my world and how I saw it and my emotions and my feelings. I'm a super empath, so I feel energy on a really deep level, and I got teased growing up a lot as a kid, so poetry has always given me this outlet to be vulnerable, to express my genuine feelings without feeling like I'm being judged for doing it. For me, I know I'd be absolutely nowhere without Lexus Verses and Flow. I am a direct product of that television show. They believed in me when I can't say I didn't necessarily believe in myself, but they saw something in me that I had yet to see. And I had no clue. I just thought I was fortunate. I thought I was lucky. The opportunities that have come as a result of me being a part of Lexus Versus and Flow, I'll never forget. It's the most organic way to create for me. There is something about food, there's something about putting it actually on paper. The way I edit, the way I collect my thoughts, I'll write something that I like, and then I'll write little subnotes to the left of the margin right here. And sometimes I'll write something and I like that line at a different place. So this allows me to put an arrow right here. I had to get out of the slam world. I had to get out that 310 because that was restrictive, but I like that pocket for time. But paper allows me to play with it so much more. It's so much more organic than when I use my phone. But yeah, I'm gonna put it pen to paper. I'm gonna put the pencil, specifically a pencil, to paper every time if I can. Ooh, you gotta tap into different spaces. Or it becomes mundane, man. And you gotta switch it up. You can't keep it in the set. Like I gotta switch up the rotation. Because if I'm running that same poem over and over, then I'm just performing it and I'm not necessarily feeling it. So I got to kind of put it on the back burner, replace it with something new or something else. I always try to mesh new work, take old work and make it new again. I'd like to think that I'm a different type of Black history. I'm in tune with our past, I'm aware of our present, and I'm looking forward to our future. Lexus has always been a part of my childhood. And I remember she said that when she got her enough money, she was gonna buy a really nice car that she always wanted. And so she bought a 1996 ES300. But it was dope because when she got the Lexus, I got to drive her Lexus. So I'd always make detours, I go the long route. I had my 6 CDs on deck. I don't care if I had to go 2 blocks. I had my playlist set up. I go past the movie theater, everywhere I wasn't supposed to go. I pick up my friends to go to the grocery store and drop them back off. And on the way home, she stopped at a gas station late at night. And I don't know why. I don't think she realized it, but she had left her keys in the car when she went to pay for the gas. Somebody, as soon as she went in there, ran to the car, hopped in and stole it. I had to come and pick her up, and I'll never forget that ride because I remember how crushed she was. And as soon as she got her money back up, she got an RX 300. So now we was in another Lexus, but we was in like the SUV type of Lexus at that time. It was like her comeback vehicle, her getting her stuff stolen, but then still putting in enough work and being like, y'all ain't gonna stop me. Now I got this RX 300, which was nicer than the ES 300, so it was an upgrade too. And I remember that was our vehicle, so I always associated Lexus with my mother's hard work and her diligence as an entrepreneur, and she bought a 2020 Lexus, I forget the model, and that was her first brand new car she ever bought with 0 miles on it, and it was another Lexus. But Lexus has always been like a part of my life and has always represented this luxury, this sign of comfort and this label of hard work because I watched my mom, work hard to get these things.
Woke up today, smile on my face, may not go my way, still got my face, so I'll be okay. I'll be okay, I'll be okay. Running our race, just that I pace, made some mistakes, but learned a few things, so I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
When my oldest son was born in the Bay, the courts let his mother move to Florida about 2 months after he was born. And so I used to have to fly once every 4 weeks. I fly to Florida and I bring him back for 6 weeks at a time. And since I only had him 6 weeks at a time, I knew I didn't want to work. I wanted that time, My kid's all the way in Florida, so the poetry had to be the hustle. Poetry was what was going to allow me not to have to get a job in order to spend time with my son. You know what I mean? So he grew up in it with me, so I had to take him to shows, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have daycare. It was just me. And so I think that kind of established how the art and fatherhood was going to work simultaneously. They just rock with me. If I had to do something, you had to go. And so they had their books, they had their, coloring books or whatever, time advances, you get your tablet. And daddy's doing poetry right now, so you got to kind of just rock with it. As soon as you say you're a poet, you what? You do what? Moms used to be like, okay, this poetry thing is cool, but what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? What's gonna really pay the bills? Like I left school to do poetry full time. I went to London for 2 weeks. Came back, was like, I'm out. I just want to do poetry for the rest of my life. And people were like, what? And back then, it was frowned upon to leave school early, and especially to pursue something that nobody had an idea about. So every time I performed, it was like exposing something to somebody, something they hadn't experienced before. I did the Ink Slam at the Poetry Lounge. And I remember walking in that space, and the thing about the Poetry Lounge is that everybody there wants to be there. And you're gonna see a kid, like a for real kid, and a grown adult, and everybody in between. And half of the people ain't gonna look like you, but everybody is on the same wavelength up in that spot. It seems like and I think especially being out here in LA, where sometimes things can be really pretentious, like that doesn't seem to penetrate those walls in there. And I think you guys have done an amazing job at keeping the authenticity, man, and how people who sprout from there always come back and always want to like pour back in. Like it's home for everybody who grew up in there. And that's how I felt when I first came in there. And every time I come back for the last 20 something years, it's the same vibe up in there. Like nothing has changed. Cause they rocked with me in there, and I was like, oh yeah, this is dope. I'm in LA, they like it, you know. So it was cool.
Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer, ain't stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat.
Y'all ready for this poetry? Yeah. Give it up for my man Prentice Powell. Y'all give it up for Prentice Powell!